Alright, now to go ahead and continue this topic, where were we left off at? I am reading the Stormer paper I wrote because I wanted a script, because this is a very long speech, obviously. Let's see, I'm just going to pick up, both Star Wars and Star Trek possess capabilities to destroy all life on a planet. The Star Trek universe has an advantage in that worlds struck by a Genesis torpedo can sustain life. In fact, they're normally teeming with it after being hit by such torpedo, meaning that they could colonize the planet, they could immediately land on it after everything stopped, which is something that Star Wars is not capable of doing. When the Death Star blows up a planet, it's gone. It's an asteroid field, it's useless. They could put a base in the asteroid field, I guess. There is sufficient canonical proof, however, that the Star Trek Federation would not utilize the Genesis torpedo, while the Star Wars Empire will not hesitate to use the Death Star super laser. If we are talking about a war of total annihilation, however, which is how this topic is normally started, it is only fair to assume that the Federation would relax its policies and allow for the use of the Genesis torpedo. I'm not going to cripple any side by taking away their super weapon. The problem is that both sides would be the difficulty of countering each other and the technical capabilities of each. In this case, the Star Wars technology, the Death Star super laser, has a distinct advantage. Not only is the super laser capable of destroying a planet, it is also capable of destroying large non-planet targets. Well, the Genesis torpedo is not really capable of that. Though the Death Star super laser would be incapable of targeting Federation vessels, as the smallest targets ever fired on by the super laser were many factors larger than even a Galaxy-class starship. A starbase, however, such as D-69, could be a viable target for the Death Star super weapon. It is moot to claim that the Federation could destroy the Death Star. However, that is a clear possibility. However, as has been shown, the Death Star can be built in less than 5 years, as evidenced from the progress of the Death Star in Episode 6. As you see how much of the station was built after the first was destroyed at Yavin 4, and the super laser itself can be built according to the EU canon, the Extended Universe canon, in as little time as 3 months without requiring massive resource strain, as evident in the novel Darksaber. It's important to note that the Darksaber also exploded, but that was because the Hutt crime lord who built it skimped on the labor costs. Which means also this would not strain the resources of the Empire, though, because a lone crime lord was able to accomplish this. And we can assume the Empire has much more funds than one crime lord. The largest problems for the Federation counter the Empire's superweapon is the series of logistical issues. The first being that the Empire only needs to destroy 150 worlds to wipe out the entire United Federation of planets. The Federation, on the other hand, would have to wipe out 24,000 worlds, over 100 times the number of targets. The second being that the Empire possesses planetary shields that the Genesis torpedo would be unable to penetrate. The third and most glaring issue is that it would take over 300 years for a single Star Trek vessel to visit each one of the Imperial worlds. We can assume that they will launch multiple ships, though, for this operation, and even then the lowest time frame possible is over 80 years to cover all 4, quote, quadrants of the Star Trek galaxy, assuming the galaxies are the same approximate size. According to Star Wars, this is not the case. I believe the last statement was that the galaxy is roughly 5 times larger than the galaxy presented in Star Trek, but we're going to ignore that for now and assume that we're going to use the smaller galaxy for now, because it's the size of the galaxy does tend to fluctuate a little in Star Wars. So using these distances alone, we can assume that each Death Star super laser will only be able to destroy 3 planets each before being destroyed, in some fashion by the Federation. So we are saying the Federation can blow up the Death Star super lasers. We can see that if 3 worlds are destroyed every 5 months, we're going to say, since it says in the novels it takes 3 months to really build a super laser, one could be built in 5 months without scrimping on the production costs, so we wouldn't have a Darksaber incident of thing blowing up. But what we are going to say, that in that case, how do I put this? Well, when we get into that situation, we assume that 5 months, we're also assuming that no 2 of them can be in the construct at the same time, and yada, yada, yada. It'll take approximately 25 years if 3 worlds are destroyed every 25 months. If 3 worlds are destroyed every 5 months, it'll take about 25 years to wipe out the entire United Federation of planets. Meanwhile, it will still take over 80 years for the Federation to accomplish this, assuming they sent ships to each quadrant at the same time, assuming that they are at the center of the quadrant. There's a lot of mitigating factors. I'm assuming, I'm giving the Federation every possible advantage I can think of, and saying that they're at the center, and that is the minimum distance they need to travel. This is also assuming, I'm going to slant this even more in favor to give you just how big of a comparison this is. We will assume that the Empire only gets to blow up one planet for super laser, so one planet every 5 months. It still only takes 75 years. This is assuming that not a single one of the Genesis torpedoes ships are stopped. This is also assuming the Genesis torpedoes can fire through planetary shields, which we have no evidence they can. Judging from all the previous shield technology shown, the Genesis torpedoes wouldn't be able to penetrate a planetary shield, Star Trek wouldn't be able to penetrate a planetary shield, and thus they wouldn't actually be able to utilize the Genesis torpedoes. But I'm nullifying that, giving them every possibility, and still there's no feasible way that the Federation could win in an all-out annihilation war. So this is assuming we can only build one super laser every 5 months. We can't have two in construction at the same time. They each only get to blow up one world before they're destroyed. And then we're assuming that none of the Star Trek vessels carrying the torpedoes are destroyed. All of them are successful, and none of them are stopped. This is slanting everything in Star Trek's favor, and Star Trek still cannot win mathematically. So there you have it. This proves, beyond the shadow of a doubt, at least to me, using the technical details provided for each universe, that there is no way possible, realistically, that the United Federation of Planets could stand a reasonable chance of defeating the Galactic Empire in a full-on state of war, total annihilation situation. The most likely outcome would be the complete surrender of the United Federation of Planets, and they would likely be added to the Imperial Collection of Worlds. To my students, because I know a lot of them follow this, there you go. That is my summer post. Hope y'all enjoyed it. This is the second part. This was very long. I apologize for that. And I'll be seeing you guys in a couple weeks when school starts back up. Congratulations, everyone. Have a good day. I know I'm going to get flamed for posting this. That's fine by me. Just try to utilize the technical specifications if you're going to dispute any of my claims. Because I already have. And I've checked these out. Again, these were looked over by a NASA scientist who knows physics way more than I ever did, because physics wasn't exactly a class I was good at. I was just really passionate and did a lot of research. So there you go. I'll field arguments. If you want to post an argument and say, hey, I don't believe this, I want to go against that, go ahead. I'll sit there and debate it, because, that's fun. It's interesting. This is let your inner nerd out. So have a good day, and enjoy this, and be safe.